Dr. Zucker presents Forbidden Mathematics, not recommended for young people under the age of 18. Part 1. Algebraic Equations of Planet FNTS.
Hello, I am Professor Gamisat from planet FNTS. And here is my assistant Kainand. Our planet is called Fantasy because on our planet do happen many unusual fantastic things. Our mathematics also seems to be fantastic, but it satisfied all classic basics and rules of mathematics on your planet Earth. Of course, you can use our mathematics, but we don't recommend it for children and young people under the age of 18 to avoid the misunderstandings from wrong applications. We have on our planet FNTS the same algebraic equations as you on your planet Earth. They consist of unknown variables x1 and x2, of constant coefficients. In this example they are 2, 3, 4, 5, and of given absolute values c1, c2. In this example are given c1 equals 28, c2 equals 48. But the ways to define of unknown variables x1 and x2 on your and our planet are different. In the planet Earth you represent the equations like plants, which is roots x1 and x2 you look for with solutions. In our planet we represent the equations quite differently as you. We look for unknown variables x1 and x2 by differently methods. Antisystems, remote controls, pin, and ink blots.
The alien equation is a system with inputs, which are unknown variables x1 and x2. The outputs are given constant c1 and c2. To every system it is possible to build an anti-system, which is the same system, but acting in the opposite direction. Important is that between system and anti-system there is the intensity balance E1 equals E2 by any values of D1 and D2. The last feature is used to define the unknown variables x1 and x2. The value D2 of the anti-system's input will be chosen in such a way that the output W2 will be equal to 0. In this case the wanted of x1 will be directed calculated from the intensity balance. The value of D1 will be chosen arbitrary, for example here is chosen D1 equals 4. That's all. The rest are the simple calculations.
The system is now a stationary device like monitor with unknown variables x1 and x2 and given constant c1 and c2. The anti-system is its remote control with levels w1 and w2. The levels will be given by human operator. They show which variable x1 or x2 should be defined. The controls d1 and d2 are also given either by human operator or are calculated from remote control. Example. We want to define the unknown variable x2. The mobile control takes place upon following steps. Now we want to define another unknown variable x1 for the same example. The mobile control repeats the previous steps, but for another chosen level and control.
Given is the same system with the same coefficients and absolute value C1, C2 as by previous methods. Besides of these, given is the password P1 and P2. The unknown variable x1 will be directly upon password defined.
If the pin, P1, P2, of a system of algebraic equations is given, the unknown variables x1 and x2 will be defined, not only for this single system of equations, but for many other equations with different absolute values. It is shown in the example with the same coefficients 2, 3, 4, 5 and different absolute values C1 and C2.
The way, how to define the password, is described in this book and shown here without explanation on one example with unknown variables x and y. Given is the system of algebraic equations with two unknown variables. Let us solve it with ink blots as we do it on the Our planet. The first equation is prepared. Now we will repeat it with the second equation. The second equation is also prepared. What to do next? Subtract one equation from another. The first unknown variable is calculated. The second unknown variable is also calculated.
Thank you. for attention.
Goodbye.